Well, let me welcome you to the Abuja Center this morning. I want to thank our colleagues in Enugu for holding the fort. I'm sure the way my voice is sounding this morning will tell you something is the matter. By the way, are you experiencing the level of cold? I called a colleague yesterday. He said it was not a little cold, that this cold is not good enough for people of our age. I don't know. Maybe a cup of coffee once in a while. Now, from Abuja this Friday morning.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel TELECAST TV. I'm Miracle Angala. You're watching a conversation with Chief Chekwas Okorie, speaking about why do we have Igbo agenda? Why not Nigeria agenda in the country? Endeavor to watch to the end. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, subscribe, like, comment, and share your thoughts. Don't miss trending videos.
We're interrogating a very contentious matter. That's the truth of it. Why should any part of the country put together for themselves an agenda of their own? After all, we are pursuing one single national citizenship, so there should be a Nigerian agenda. But this morning, we are interrogating issues in the Igbo agenda. Issues in the Igbo agenda. Who is more qualified to interrogate that matter with me this morning? And I have as my guest Chief Chekwas Okorie. Chief Chekwas Okorie has a long political history. Founder of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. He is also the convener of Igbo Agenda Dialogue. Let me, pardon me if you don't understand Igbo, but he is Ojeri Igbozi, the man who works to actualize, pass on the message and intent of the Igbo people in Nigeria. Chief Chekwas, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
By the way, where have you been?
I've been around, but having my time in partisanship, APGA, which you rightly mentioned, that I founded. And then after a while, I founded another party when I left APGA. The United Progressive Party. That one didn't quite fly, and I returned to APGA, which I said that will be my last bus stop, because the party, there's never a former founder, so there's no
replacing
the founder, and I needed to be there to provide advice and leadership and direction without necessarily holding any party office. Well, there I began to reflect on Igbo situation in Nigeria. And given to that I am a founding member of Ohaneze Igbo, I was a young undergraduate in 1976 when I was drafted into what was then called Igbo Forum, led by eminent Igbo people who top-class, high-profile politicians, civil servants, intelligentsia, and so on. It was a select group. It was not a free-for-all at that time. But I was drafted by my uncle, who was assistant secretary, to run their errands. In other words, I've been running errands for Igbo for about 49 years now. I am 72 going to 73. So at 23, I started running errands for Igbo, and I've never stopped. So having this whole history behind me, it was easy for me to see that although the war ended, the fratricidal war between Nigeria and Biafra ended in 1970 officially, but the war didn't seem to have ended even up till today. There have been a lot of conspiracies at every point in time that have put Igbo at the receiving end of the stick. And so I came back again and said, since 1970, we're looking at 55 years now since the war ended. Igbo people have never had a political summit. The West, the Southwest has had political summit a number of times. The North has had political summit a number of times. Even the South-South. But the Southeast has never had one. And so I consulted a few persons and we came up with the idea of Igbo Agenda dialogue, which will be developed along the line of the Jewish League, if for those who know what the Jewish League represents to the Jews in the whole world. That's what Igbo Agenda dialogue is intended to represent. And then on the auspices of that platform, we are going to have a political summit for the first time. So to kickstart it, we then decided there will be need to, because in Igbo we are Republican in nature, you must do wider consultations before you do anything. Even people will remember that even before the late Dimodumegwu Ojukwu, the People General, declared Biafra, there was intense consultation of what was then Eastern Nigerian Consultative Assembly.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was the Eastern Nigerian Consultative Assembly that gave the mandate to declare Biafra. So we needed some kind of mandate to proceed in the direction we are thinking, so that it will be seen that we are thinking the way others are thinking. And then it fell on me again to drive it. Without being immodest, some people believe I have earned certain level of credibility that I can be trusted, because these days there's so much mistrust, there's so much suspicion here and there. So we said let's meet with about 50 people, highly selected, across board, across parties, because this is a non-partisan but political organization, as separate from Ohaneze that is a pan-Igbo socio-cultural organization. So this is not
A replication.
it's not a parallel body. It has its own
Clear
focused agenda. And that inaugural meeting will be taking place here in Abuja. But ultimately, the summit itself, that the big Igbo conversation, will take place in Enugu in January. And thereafter, nothing will be the same again. Igbo people will take their full right, take that which God has already given to them that they have not been able to explore or exploit. So as we go on, I can now give you more details.
Now, Oje, why is it necessary to begin to create an Igbo agenda, begin to a conversation on an Igbo agenda? Now, I ask that question because there are political parties whose activities are supposed to encompass interests across the nation. The Southwest interests, when you are getting yourselves together, you must be sure they are protected. The Southeast interest within the party. And if your interest is not protected in a particular party, you have an option. So why do you need to create another platform to converse and agree on an Igbo agenda?
No, you see, this one is not a political party, but its subject matter is political. In other words, it is not partisan. And Igbo people, maybe because of our Republican nature, seem to spread themselves thin. They scatter themselves into all manner of parties and all manner of organizations without really being in control of any. I had thought the way you are thinking now, when in 1996 I said, I looked back and saw that no Igbo man from 1923, party politics came into Nigeria, ever initiated the formation of a political party. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the Secretary General and later leader of NCNC. He never formed it. In fact, it was founded by Dr. Herbert Macaulay. And the NPP that our people also embraced was founded by Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim. But the West, outside of the fact that Dr. Macaulay was from the West, Chief Obafemi Awolowo also was from the West and saw the need to have a political party that the West will control its machinery. You don't talk about the North, where Samadu Bello and his colleagues founded the MP, Northern People's Congress. In fact, the name itself is enough to tell you
whose interests they are protecting.
And Malam Aminu Kanu, a Hausa man, looking at the way the Hausas are being subsumed under the Fulani hegemony, decided they needed a political party of their own and founded the Northern Elements Progressive Union, NEPO. Like Chief Taka, J.S. Taka, also looked at the issue of the Middle Belt and founded United Middle Belt Congress, UMBC. All these things happened taking off from 1923 until 1996. I said, no, we must have our own, even if for no other thing, for political engagement. And that was when the journey to form ABGA started. We tried 2 times and failed. We consistently continued, and we are resilient. The third one was materialized in 2002 when ABGA was founded. It was celebrated. Igbo people were happy everywhere. In fact, Ohaneze Ndigbo gave me the title of Obatulenyi Ndigbo as a result of that accomplishment. You know, so expectations were high. But typical of my people, 2 years after, trouble came up and they invited people from outside to assist them to destroy that platform. But we thank God that in 22 years, thereabout, 23 years, that party has remained alive, but almost like hanging out there
That's a stump of the initial idea.
Yes, because to be in one state, Anambra State, for 23 years is nothing anybody can be proud of. But then on the flip side, it is the second oldest surviving political party in Nigeria after the PDP. So we said, no, man, as I get older, I'm no longer in the position for activism in partisanship. But I'm still strong enough to lead another initiative that will bring all Igbo people, irrespective of party, together. And let me tell you one of the motivations. Igbo people are the most populous ethnic group in Nigeria. By far, there's no other ethnic group coming close. And maybe our people don't understand this, because you need to know your strength before you even carry your shoulder high. Igbo people are the second largest ethnic group in any state of Nigeria after the indigenous population. All of the states without exception. Again, studies have proved that Igbo people have minimum of 25% of the voting population of all the any state in Nigeria. And our people have not appreciated the enormous power inherent in that number. Because in the type of democracy we practice here, number and spread are the critical factors that will determine where power goes. So, since we are not organized, there was need to organize ourselves. I used to lament early in the days when I founded the Igbo Cultural Association, those who will remember. Yeah. I used to every day talk about marginalization until I found that shouting about marginalization is even making your detractors happy. Why not take steps to address it? It is said that God helped those who help themselves. But in the case of Igbo, God has already helped us. We are the ones who are not prepared to help ourselves. So, and look at the way it is. Nigeria was founded standing on a tripod of 3 legs. But today, where do we stand? There are 774 local governments carved out in Nigeria by a military fiat. There was nowhere there was plebiscite to be able to consultation. And one zone, geopolitical zone called Northwest, has 188 local governments. The Southeast zone, which is dominated by Igbo, by a population of about 99.9%, has only 95 local governments. What is the implication? These local governments are factors for revenue allocation. So when federal revenue is shared, there is a percentage given to local government on a quality of local governments. So if Northwest will get 188 portions, we will get 95. If you check that from the time this injustice started, we've lost trillions of naira in terms of revenue that would have accrued to Southeast. You can go a little further and say, look at today. Because I remember we were complaining that the late President Buhari was nepotistic,
yes,
this and that. But today, I say, Chekwas Okorie, I said that President Tinubu has proved that President Buhari was a learner in nepotism. Because the South Ogun State alone has 5 very powerful ministers. Ogun State. The whole of the Southeast has 5. In other words, the whole of the 5 states in the Southeast, in terms of ministerial allocation, they are equal to one state in the
Southwest.
And in that our 5, only 2 are substantive ministers. Minister of Works and Minister of Science and Technology. The other 3, who are also our daughters, women, are all ministers of state. In the Nigeria of today, Southeast has the highest number of women ministers. I mean, it's okay that women are capable. They are also very capable, no doubt about that. But you can see the mindset of those who are appointing these things. You can, if there are things you say, I will say here, some people will get unnecessarily inflamed. So we said no. This voters card that we take for granted is our weapon. This voters card is more potent than the AK-47 that some people wield around. Some people talk about referendum. Our young men, you see them referendum, one referendum. Do they also know that if there is a referendum and you don't have a voters card, you will not participate? But you see them say, we are not Nigerians, we will not register. But see, at the same time, they are calling for a referendum. If there is a referendum today, you will not participate because it is that voters register card that will be used to vote and show that you are of age, capable of deciding where you belong and where you will not belong. So this is not a thing that a political party can handle.
Now, Rogers.
Chekwas.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
No, it's okay. It happens all the time.
Okay. Now, I have a challenge here.
Yeah.
And my challenge is this. If a government is functional, fair, and is intent on national development, should any group, any section be wanting to develop its own agenda?
No. That is
in other words, this is the outcome of failed governance. Yes,
there's no question about it. And the outcome of certain people refusing to accept that the war has ended. Head of State General Yakubu Gowon, at the end of the war in 1970, came up with a policy of 3 R's. Reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. The 3 of them, those 3 are, none has been observed in its actual meaning. All have been observed in breach. There was also the policy of no victor, no vanquished. Everybody knows who is victor here and who is the vanquished. So if there is this right, citizenship right, that is expected to be in the Constitution. But you go to certain states, they say indigenes will pay this, non-indigenes will pay that. For children who are going to school, there are so many policies that have been promoted that you can see that they are targeted at halting the growth of some people. Tell me, in a country that wants to grow economically cannot deliberately abandon the seaport, the coastal seaports, because the revenue from the coastal seaports will always surpass the revenue from oil. But they were deliberately abandoned, making our people who are known to be commercially inclined to go to other climes, either in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, to ply their trade. And that is why there is a congestion in Lagos. I wasn't congestion in Lagos before the war.
No, there
because
wasn't.
all the ports have been abandoned deliberately. So these policies, even sometimes they hurt themselves while trying to put the
but let me draw it, because in one or other conversation, somebody had raised this matter, and I queried that line of thought. And I said, the government by policy now says states can build, operate, they can develop their own ports, they can develop their own railway, they can in fact develop their own electricity. So it's made it democratic.
I'm not aware that states can develop their ports. All I know is that states can
build their railways,
build their internal railways.
Yes.
And they can also recently, just in fact, it was approved by the Buhari administration, but signed into law by the Tinubu administration in terms of liberalizing the power sector. Otherwise, prior to how many years ago, Nigerian power structure,
a single national grid.
Yes, we're under a single national grid. And when power is fed into that grid, they distribute it to the areas. The areas they think they are more needed, and all of that. But today, that has changed. But these changes are too gradual for a race as restless as the Igbo race to develop, to grow. So now we have a Southeast Development Commission, which came rather late, but it's never late, because people are still growing up and going. But the moment that of the Southeast came, every other region wanted one, and today there are 6 development commissions. Even the South that has the NDDC also has its own commission. I am not bothered about that, because I am confident that the people we have in our SE, the Southeast Development Commission, are so switched on. I am so impressed with what I noticed they are doing already, that the investment they will attract, they will very soon become the model for other commissions to go and learn on how to develop independent of government.
In the course of this conversation, you said something, that God helps those who help themselves.
That's the general saying, is in the scriptures.
Thank you. Those you are trying to aggregate, to begin to think for themselves.
Yes.
You described them as Republican.
Yes.
Restless.
Yes.
Chief Chekwas.
Yes.
How are you going to aggregate these Jews who will always curse Jehovah today? When they suffer, they remember him.
The signs are so very encouraging. When we started this, of course, in all the things, all my interventions in Igbo-related matter, I've always had single-mindedness of purpose. It does not matter how I am initially distracted or even described, but at the end of the day, they still come around and say, "Oh, you've done it." So, with that, we decided to invite just about 50 well-selected people across parties, across professions, across the various associations that Igbo people, that 50 will be enough to get the necessary consent and go forward. But as we are today, more than 152 have listed to attend, whereas we hired a hall that will only accommodate 50. So we are now trying to see how to increase the number of the capacity of hall by bringing in more seats and cramming it up as much as possible, since we can't change the venue now. It's too late. It's the next week, Wednesday, this will happen. So that excitement that our people have shown has given us so much inspiration and encouragement. And we are now going ahead after this to do a second one that will be more expanded, where the relevant committees will be set up, that will now dovetail to the summit that will come up in Enugu sometime early January. Now, to wield this together, yes, it may appear an impossible task. But like I said, Igbo people have their associations. God gave us the network of town unions, market associations, professional bodies, even political parties. There are 18 political parties today. More than half of them are led by Igbo people. So all of these things allow them to enjoy their independence. Don't tamper with what they are doing, but bring their leaders, 2 or 3 per each of the organizations, to come into the IAD, where we will all sit down, incubate, and brew the ideas and sell to our association down to the grassroots. Because with the unions, you get to every average citizen. Once that is done, we'll be moving forward. Nothing will be the same anymore. There has never been a central board. And let me tell you what we are going to end up with. Just like we talked about electricity grid. We are going to have an Igbo grid. And once you activate that grid, whether you are at home or abroad, everybody will fall in line. On his own, you don't do anything with Igbo by force. No. He must use the power of conviction. And once we have already started the process, there is no longer going back. And there is what we want to do is that whosoever will be a presidential candidate of any party in this country, be he our son or daughter, not to talk of another person, must enter into an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with us. Tell us what, if you get our support, what we should be expecting, not what an individual. We are not, yes, we will get appointment like others, but what is that federal presence? Do you know, for 16 years PDP was in power, there was not a single federal presence in the whole of the Southeast. 16 good years. Yet Igbo people invested 100% of their political capital in PDP. Because nobody sat the PDP down to say, without this MOU, we are not going to go with you. There is no guarantee that even if we put our son, he becomes president, he will not be busy fearing what the other people will say. So that MOU is not limited to others, even our own people. And once we are satisfied, we'll make it public. It's not a negotiation of Chekwas with anybody. It will be on our communication platforms. Igbo people will know this is the reason we are going to go this way. And wherever we go, the person wins. There is no person we collectively say we are supporting that we lose the election in Nigeria. Because we have the spread, we have the number. And we have, when that purpose is one. When you talk of insecurity in our place, you need to let our people know that the AK-47 is no, in modern warfare, it is just like catapult. So don't carry it, it means nothing. Those who are fighting may come with something superior and wipe you out. So why not use that which God has given you to get your liberation, to get your self-determination, to get your freedom, and that is your voter's card. It's part of what we are going to do.
Now, I think it's Oliver de Kokwe who sang a song and said, "Even up boy, are you determining even up by Igbo?" For those of us who don't understand Igbo, are you synthesizing the content of this agenda?
Yes, we are going to, for instance, as we have started now, we're also looking at eggheads. Those who have experience in so many areas, and we have them in abundance, in commerce, in economics, in finance, in culture, and so on. And we bring them together. It is our expectation that by the summit of January, we will be launching the Igbo Charter. It will be the Igbo Charter, and that will be like the Chinese Red Book, and that charter will determine our relationship, our engagement, our stay or not stay in this country. But we have no business leaving Nigeria. Let me make that very clear, because we can talk about some ethnic groups that we know when they migrated to Nigeria, but no historian, no matter how hard he has researched, can tell you that Igbo people were not originally
people of
from here. We didn't migrate from anywhere.
My grandfather used to say to us, I sprouted from this ground.
I went to myself, Chekwas Okorie, in 2000, the year 2000, I was a special guest of honor to the Igbo Day in Zamfara State in Guzo. And normally, as I visit all these places outside Igbo land, I will go a day or two before to be able to understand how our people are living and relating. It was in that trip that I found that a place called Northern Guzo in Zamfara, present-day Zamfara State, had Igbo people who had resided there for 400 years. 2000, the year 2000, that was at the height of Sharia. What does that tell you? In this Uthman Tamfodo that brought jihad into Nigeria came into Sokoto in 1804. About 200 years after Igbo people were already in Guzo. So why would such a person claim indigenship in Nigeria more than us? We are talking about Guzo. We are not talking about our home base where we had been there, we didn't migrate from anywhere to anywhere. So when you talk about wanting to live, it is something that will also require some political education for our people to know that who are you leaving the place for?
You are the owner of this land.
The people who should live are staying, and you who should stay want to live.
To where?
So to where in particular? To where? And the number we have in Nigeria, if we say half that number return to Igbo, we will kill ourselves because there's no space. The land space is not there.
Let me even Chekwas, let me raise another conversation. One of the issues current generation is engaged in is Akuruulo. In other words, let us develop our homeland.
That's right.
But I'm going to make what will sound like a scandalous statement.
Go ahead.
And that is, where are the real Igbo? A young man was born in Lagos. He was there in Lagos, his father died. He married in Lagos, has gotten kids in Lagos. Replicate what I've said to Kanu, to Kaduna, to this Zamfara you mentioned,
yes,
to all parts of the world.
Yes.
Will those people, culturally, in terms of worldview, in terms of values, can they really call themselves Igbo?
Yes, every they will call themselves
Consider
Igbo.
it.
No, yes, you will call themselves Igbo, because you see, you are Igbo before you can be a citizen of Lagos, can be a citizen of Zamfara. That does not remove the originality. You have an origin that is not in doubt. Not even in America, the blacks don't say that they don't have where they are coming from. The
Jews themselves.
The Jews themselves. That's why there's a the Jewish League is made of very powerful people who don't reside in Israel, and they are the ones that determine even the flow of power in the U.S. and other things. And that's why I said IAD is going to be developed along the line of the Jewish League. But in Nigeria, regarding what you just raised,
yes,
it is the citizenship right that some of us have been fighting for. And when we have our strong voice in government, in the way things are done, when we make ourselves the determinant factor in power, political power equation in Nigeria, we can then insist and have entered into our statute book more enforceable citizenship right, which means wherever you are, you enjoy all
those
your
rights.
citizenship right. But that will never remove your Igbo identity. And let me use this opportunity. For instance, let me also say before I even go there, if we had been united the way we are envisaging it now, no, there's no way nnamdi kanu will remain in detention till now. Because it boils down to the same thing I said even when we had not started this interview. That my father said that if you are not loved, you must be feared. If somebody doesn't love you and also doesn't fear you, what you may do if you get angry, then you are useless. And that is for an individual. And then a race that is neither loved, nor feared, or respected is not worthy to be called a race. So we want to restore our dignity, our right, our aura of being respected. This is where we are going. The President General, the current President General of Ohanese, Senator Mbata, in Ohanese summit, because I said we haven't had a political summit, yeah. But Ohanese has always said, one of our recent Ohanese summit held on the 4th of June this year, he made a profound, and that summit was done by Zoom. So our diaspora people linked up. He made a profound statement that resonated across the world on the spot. He said, and it was in his welcome address, he said, for as long as Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention, it is the entire Igbo nation that is in detention. It resonated. There was prolonged ovation. But then, having that one has died, and how many people were there to even know that something like that was said? But now we are going to actualize those things. You can't even come and tell us you want our vote if you have the power to release him Nnamdi Kanu and he's still there. How will you come to us to say you want our vote? You have to call us. Remember that we are the ones who are there. So if you want our vote, do the right thing now, not tomorrow. Not when the campaign has started. Get him out. Then we'll begin from there.
You are about to tell me something before you digressed.
Yes, I was about to tell you that in this country, now called Nigeria, we have supported everybody else other than ourselves to get power. In 2011, we gave President Jonathan over 7 million votes. That's our next record. To win. Because he didn't do anything for Igbo, but there was no memorandum of understanding anyway, but he took our votes for granted. In 2015, he had about 3 million from the people that gave him 7 million.
Earlier.
And President Buhari defeated him by 2.5 million. Which means if Igbo people had given him what they gave him in 2011, he would have remained as president. Now, 2023, this just last election. Before that election, the total number of registered voters in the South is 11.5 million. INEC record I'm talking can be verified. But how many votes did our people cast? Less than 2 million votes in all. Peter Obi won 88% of the votes. But that 88% amounted to only 1.8 million votes. I shed tears when I looked at the figures. I said that will not happen again. You see, the aggregate of the votes, whether you distributed among 3 Senate presidential candidates or whatever, the aggregate of the votes coming from the South is underscores your political strength and value. So we must not sit back and not participate in the process that brings about power and come back to say we have not gotten our fair share. It's a lot of work, but it must be done for as long as some of us are alive, and many young people are keying into it, even without starting. So I'm so optimistic that we're on the right path.
Okay, I'm going to come back to those keen into it and the quality of those participating, because I know that our people have a way of, has this person spoken, and therefore is that serious? Are we going to go in? Can we trust them? But that will be after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. I'm still in the studio here from the from the Abuja Center with my guest, Chief Chekwas Okorie, who is the convener of the Igbo Agenda dialogue. Chekwas.
Yes.
There is a tree in our place called Otere. That the trunk is used for carving musical instruments.
Yes.
But under certain conditions, the tree will begin to die progressively. And that people will say, what is killing the Otere is right at the base of Otere.
Yes.
The Igbo are described as, I'm using too many words this
yes,
morning.
No, it's okay.
The Igbo are described as ekwe ekwe. In other words, they even counter themselves. The challenge of intra-Igbo countering these efforts, I'm sure that should be staring you in the face.
Yeah.
You founded the party before.
Yeah.
You know the up mountain, not uphill task of founding a party. You are now dealing with the same people. How are you going to ride over this Igbo?
Well, yeah, that is a major factor that can frighten or discourage the lily-livered. But luckily, God has not given me lily-liver. He has given me liver. And so I do not allow those kind of setback. I can say from what you said that I'm also a victim. In fact, a serial victim of internal sabotage. But that will not stop us from moving ahead. Because when you look back, when Dr. Zikiwe was there in for forefront, he came into NCNC as secretary, general secretary, that's the title there. General secretary of NCNC. Wasn't the, what we call national chairman now, used to be called president. He wasn't the president of the party, NCNC. But he went and got the Igbo State Union, convinced them to key into the NCNC. But before you can snap your finger, NCNC had become an Igbo party. It was not difficult for Igbo to mobilize around Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in Second Republic when he belatedly joined the MPP. Because he noticed that most of our leaders whom he thought were going to take over from him were busy fighting each other on who will become the vice presidential candidate of other parties. I remember of the 6 parties that time, Igbo people were running mate of 5. So he came into NPP. Because of his stature, Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim, who founded the party, said no, he was not going to struggle for leadership with Dr. Zikiwe. He went and founded the GMPP. And that was how he founded 2 parties in his lifetime. Now, what I'm saying is that leadership, trusted leadership, can do it for us. Zik provided leadership. And in identifying Okpara, who was our own Awolowo and our own Amadu Bello, he did not go to Onitsha to look for one, where he comes from or where he came from. He did not go to Nnewi to look for one. He saw that quality in Okpara from Umuahia, present Abia State, and propped him up to take that position, and he did not disappoint. So it's just being able to look beyond what is now eating us up. Family affair, community affair, and this state creation thing, is it from Abia, why must he come from Abia, and all of that. You see, we are going to overcome that, and this is part of what we have set out to do. And once what we have set out to do gains ground, it also affects leadership recruitment at the level of councillorship. Because what we see today is that the governor will go and make a councillor out of a murderer or somebody who only credentials was that he carried ballot boxes for him. And this person who inherently is anti-social will become the first citizen of his council area. And his wife will become the first lady of the council area. And this and he'll be riding roughshod over even the traditional institution in his place. These are the values. But I can tell you, Ohaneze is doing a lot along that line. But on the political side, this is where IAD comes in. So there must be this synergy. It will not be solved overnight. But we have to start. And we have started. And you see people who will change on their own and get other people to change. I think within our lifetime, we will see a new
Igbo.
We will see a new Igbo. You talked about developing our place.
Yes.
I tell you that once we get to resolve, and it's part of what we are going to resolve, ease of doing business in Igbo land. Not only Igbo people, other foreign investors will find in Igbo land a veritable place for investment. But how can you come and attract even foreign investors to Igbo land? You get a piece of land. It will take you 1 year to get certificate of occupancy. And within that same time, the people, the investors you have brought have lost confidence and gone. So these are things that must be addressed holistically. Then the other aspect that the INEC will help us to do, whether they help Nigeria to solve, not just Igbo, is to ensure that people's vote count. And they show all the technology to do that are already available. There. All you need to do is to apply it and insist on its outcome. And then whatever we are doing will also...
Let me get out of Igbo land. Why I asked you this intra-Igbo challenge is because of the proverb, the anecdote I just gave you. But there are also other interests, naturally, who would feel uncomfortable when you start aggregating, and who could use some of us to also sabotage what they are doing. How are you going to manage the external factor? And let me tell you a story I heard, which I cannot authenticate, that indeed Ohaneze Igbo was not even an Igbo creation.
It was.
I want to stop there. You are the authority, you said.
It was.
Thank you. But address the external factor.
Well, the issue of external factor, let me tell you that if the external factor comes in when there is no internal cohesion. If there is internal cohesion and unity of purpose, that external influence will not even see a leeway to come in. And if he's trying to use our own sons, it will be easily identified and traditionally dealt with appropriately. And some of us have been so battered and become, like I said, myself and many others have become victims of serial internal sabotage. So much so that we have developed the natural antenna to identify the bad ones from a distance. So we know how they come, their color they wear, and the language they speak. So it is our duty to get our people prepared for all of this before God calls us, because we're already winding down.
Sure. You've already hit the biblical 10. I'm looking at my watch. We just have a few minutes more to go.
Yes.
Can you please educate me more on this entire summit? When it's going to take place, where it's going to take place, likely agenda, who is coming?
Very good. First, it will be at Enugu. As soon as we get done with this, we will get to Enugu, where our group will pay a visit to, we haven't even applied, but we will do.
Okay.
We'll pay a visit to the governor of Enugu State, because incidentally, he is the governor of the cradle of Eastern political civilization. So Enugu is that cradle. So we will go there and discuss with him with regard to venue, and it has to be a very large venue. Then as for those who are coming, all the associations we will identify, we've started that identification. not social media, not WhatsApp groups. Associations that take the interest of certain groups, market associations, town unions, professional bodies, and so on. And some individuals in their own right, based on their exposure over the years and what they can bring to the table. These are the core people we will bring. Of course, women, the young ones, will also be included. We are looking at a target audience of about 5,000 carefully selected and invited persons whose participation will be strictly by invitation, and who will know that whatever they get out of it, they are taking it to the group where they belong. And then, of course, as I said, the Igbo Charter will be launched at that event and adopted, and it become Igbo people own it. But we don't, it's just not like writing a love letter. And now it's a set of eggheads again. We come together and articulate all of these things and much more than I have said here into that charter, so that it will be seen as a thorough thing that will bind us together and define our relationship with the rest of Nigeria. And if you are going into politics and you are going to any party and you are Igbo, you must bear in mind there are certain basic expectations expected of you, including moral standard. You can't go there and they loot government money and expect that when you are arrested and sent into jail, you will be looking at IAD to come for you. No.
Now the Abuja,
and then we will also establish that when one Igbo man, and by Igbo man here I mean the Igbo of Delta, Edo, Benue, Kogi, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, and then of course
the Igbo
Abia, Imo, and the rest. That these are the where Igbo people have been scattered, or indigenous Igbo. So we will also establish the fact that when one Igbo is attacked, all Igbo are attacked. So it will be a matter of one for all for one.
The Abuja meeting, is it open to the public?
No,
it's not.
Yes,
it's a consultative meeting.
Yes, a consultative meeting.
Setting the agenda, getting prepared for the main
main event. And there will be a second one, perhaps in Abuja again, where these committees that will do the basic things will be set up to start work on the January 1. And after January, the secretariat will be in Enugu. And then offices can spring. There will also be a satellite secretariat in Abuja because of the strategic nature of Abuja. And this thing will continue from year to year till we are done. It will outlive us. It will become, before you know it, schools will add in their curriculum what used to be called civics in our days. Yes, so that our children will start from primary school,
knowing what they
are, what their interests, their identity, and what is expected of them.
Well, in the past 57 minutes, really, 58 minutes, I've been speaking with Dr. Chekwas Okorie, founder of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA ABGA, convener of the Igbo Agenda Dialogue. 57 minutes of interesting conversation. Maybe beyond the red cap and the white cap and the beads, will establish who we are. Chekwas, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, collectively, let's thank him for coming here today, a rather cold Friday morning in Abuja. And thank you for investing your time with us. This conversation continues on Monday. Good morning.